Hello and welcome back. So I thought we would have a quick look at the module handbook for this assessment, just so we know exactly what we need from our solos. So here is we're going to be looking at composition 1, which is the 30th of November this year. So let's have a look of all the details we need, and we'll go through them one by one. So composition based on the 12-bar blues progression, and we know we've done that. The key word is based. So that gives us our flexibility in kind of altering some of the chord progressions, adding in those turnarounds, those quick changes, or all the more complicated 2-5-1 additions we can make, as long as it's based on that original idea. So that's great. That gives us some flexibility. Let's skip this one and come to this one quickly. Written for keyboard, we have one of those. Bass, and 1 or 2 melody instruments. Well, we've got that. We've got our saxophone and we've got our trombone. So definitely a tick for that one. Should use the 12-bar blues scale, and show clearly phrased melodic construction. So we are definitely using the blues scale and clearly phrased melodic construction. We'll go for the clearly phrased part later and kind of make it clear what we're doing when we're tidying up our piece. But in terms of melodic construction, we're using that kind of system of 2 bars on, then hold for a bit and have the call and response. So that is definitely showing that we are planning our pieces. And here's the last bit, interplay between melody instruments. Call and response, duets, blah, 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 blah. We've got the call and response mainly that we're going for in this piece because I think it's more emblematic of kind of blues music. So we've got that in, meaning that there's only one thing left to worry about, which is the length. So we currently have 12 bars because it's a 12-bar blues, but we are going to need slightly more bars than this. And so we've got to think of something called form. So form is the overall structure of a piece. And there's several ways we can have a look at this for this piece. So let's assume we want to go for 48 bars because that gives us more time to explore and kind of show that we can do interesting harmonic and melodic things. So we'll go for the full 48 bars. How could we structure this piece? So I think the way we're structuring it in this piece is going to have a melody, and that's a call and response melody. Actually, just to fit it all in one line, I'm just going to put C and R. So that's our first bit. That's our first 12 bars. Then we're going to have solo 1. Then we're going to have solo 2. So that will be kind of a saxophone solo, and that will be a trombone solo for solo 2. And then we're going to have the call and response melody at the end. So it's basically copied and pasted from here to here. Maybe some slight alterations, keep the first part melody the same but change the response. So here we have 12 bars, 12 bars, 12 bars, 12 bars, giving us our 48 bar piece. And that's how I think that's a good structure. But there are other ways we can work that in. So for example, we could have the melody, and we could just have that on 2 instruments. So we could have both instruments playing the same line together, maybe harmonised, maybe just playing in unison, but that would be absolutely fine. Solo 1, and have a call and response solo. So the first solo, let's say, the first solo could be saxophone with a response from the trombone, and then the second time round, would be the other way around. So it would be trombone and the saxophone playing the response. So there's ways we can structure this, and then of course it'll be melody at the end. And there's probably other ways we can structure this. Let's just have a think. We could go melody, solo 1, call and response. And then we could have I don't know, a piano solo. We're supposed to keep the emphasis on the melodic instruments, but there's no real hard and fast rule from that in here. So I think that would be a great chance to kind of play around in the piano, and how would you change the texture. You could change the bass around to fit the piano a bit better, and then of course go back to the melody in the end. So there's different ways we can structure our melody and our piece in general to get that length up, because that's the only thing we're missing so far. Of course, when we add in these solos, we're going to have to do all of this again, kind of showing the clearly phrased melodic construction and the interplay, but we will add that in. So these are kind of 3 off the top of my head structures for this piece. Let's go for the first one. So I'm going to keep this as the overall structure of my piece. So let's flesh out our piece a bit more. So I'm going to quickly change to here. So here's our 12-bar blues so far that we've been working on. Let's add a bit more on. So just going to add in 1 more bar, and then I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste. And at the beginning of this one, I'm going to add in some text. Let's add in a rehearsal mark, and I'm going to call this solo 1. So at this point, we know that we are starting our first solo, and let's add in another one. Add text. Where was it? Oh, I've lost it now. Rehearsal mark, there we go. Solo 2. Oh, there we go. And then at the end, I'm going to copy and paste it verbatim for now, and we're going to change it around a bit, but we can just copy and paste our opening. So let's just add on that. I think it was Control M. There we go. So we'll call that the head. You can call that the melody. I think that if we want to be using jazz terms, it would be the head. So let's call it the head, because that is a more appropriate thing to do. Oh, not K, Control M. More stylistically appropriate. Head. Lovely. So if you refer back to our kind of little chart here, where we have the melody, call and response. We have our solo 1, solo 2, melody, call and response. So here we have our head that lasts for 12 bars. Then we have our solo 1. And this is probably going to be a saxophone solo. Then solo 2 starts here, and then it ends, and we go back to the head and we play it out just the way we started. So there we go, we've added in the length. So now here comes the 2 main big challenges. We're going to have to write a solo, and then we're going to have to write another one, which is going to be some... well, we'll have a look at them. We're going to try and add in different skills between 1 and 2 just to show a difference. And we'll change the head as a third thing just to round up the piece. But that's going to be the last bit of kind of hard graft for this piece. So let's call this one there. Just a quick note on form and kind of thinking about the overall structure of the piece to get it up to the full length. And I'll see you in the next video.